All right, we should be also live on YouTube as well. Thank you, Accent, saying the game is starting to look pretty good. Thank you very much. So what's the story here? I went through a couple of weeks of profound doubts. So if you see some previous streams, you might know that I started this game using Jai, which is a programming language by Jonathan Blow. Then for about 4 or 5 days, I tried to move to Godot. The main reason for that was that I wanted to. I didn't feel like I had the energy really to work on the engine part of the game, so I just wanted to concentrate on the game. So I started to work on Godot, and this, as it's really usually the case with me, what is happening is that while I enjoy a lot the progress, how quick progress are when you're using an engine, I just noticed that I don't look at the game the same way that I look at something that I work with a custom engine. I always get this feeling that I didn't do it, right? It's like I'm watching somebody else. So I take advantage of somebody else's work. So instead of going back to Jai, you might probably heard that I had some reservation when it came to Jai, and it's a language that is not been released yet, and it's got some limitation, especially when it comes to LSP in the editor. So I just decided to do what is the safest choice, and it's basically use Rust again. At the end of the day, my last game was with Rust, and the experience was very positive. The game was technically very, very solid, and so usual thing when it comes to Rust is a language that maybe doesn't allow you to move that fast when you are exploring solutions, but it looks to me like it's a better fit for the way I like to code. Especially I like the fact that in Rust you can express a lot of concepts and kind of guide the future me in the future. I feel like it's easier to come back to my Rust code than to my Jai code. Jai is great, you move really fast, but it's quite loose. It's less structured than Rust. In Rust you can express some invariants of the program much better. So when you come back to some system after some times, you can be a little bit more confident that it's going to work. So in the last, my starting point with Rust was already good. I already had an engine working. I had a version of the tennis game with boxes and things like that. In the last 4 or 5 days, including the weekend, I went through a very intense coding sessions, and this is where we are now. So I am in a situation where I'm back where I was. The only thing that is missing is the replay, but I'm not that worried about it at the moment, and I'm already coding to make it easier to code for the replay. So finally I'm ready to continue and move on with the game. So what we have here now is a first experimental movement code. So now we have this kind of movement is not great. It's the first time that I code something like this, and my wife Charlotte works on the animation, so we're learning. So you know, the idea is probably going to be that we're going to need a couple of animations more for the lateral, and then something else. So basically the idea is to have so we have this kind of lateral step, which is typical in tennis, right? But then what is happening is that you really do a couple of these, and then you run into you know, a more it's more like running, but it's an interesting problem because it's running sideways. So we are running sideways. We're trying to still look at the court. So I'm writing a lot of code that deals with blending animations, and so getting the animations to blend together, so we don't have as many jumps. So when we go through the serve, after the serve, through the shots, you know, there is a better if I can hit a backhand, there is a better blending. Lots of double faults. Right, so it's moving forward. I mean, we're still very, very far from where we want to be, but you know, it's moving forward. Something else that is interesting is that if you notice, let me put the AI. Let me see if I can get, because the serve is slowing things down a lot. So let me see if I can put a training session, and there is something interesting that if you play tennis, it's something that you could notice, or maybe it goes unnoticed, but I added the concept of split step, and let's see if I broke it. Yeah, so you can see that she's kind of jumping right before the opponent hits the ball. She's kind of doing like a jump, and this is in tennis. This is called like a split step. So the idea is that you time this jump before the opponent hits the ball, and the idea is basically you want to land when you know already where you're gonna go. So this landing, it gives you like an explosion, an explosivity of the movement of your next step, which that is either left or right. So if you see, you know, she kind of does this jump, boom, right before the opponent hits the ball, which is cool, and it's something that she also does on the serve. Talking about the serve, so let's this looks better than new Mario Tennis that just came out. Yeah. I don't know if it looks better. The ball shadow that appears is just a hint for the place. That's correct. It's not a shadow. It's more like an indicator of where the ball is going to bounce. It's definitely something that helps the player to understand where the ball is going. I think it's quite it's something that I've seen in pretty much every tennis game, and I have to say that it's something that helps quite a lot to know what is going on. "10 years later, my knee is much better. Hey, how you doing?" from YouTube. That's good. That's great to hear. All right. Okay. So talking about the serve, what we're going to do today, something really cool. So what we have now, so this is the editor that we have, where we can edit stuff, preview animation. Do I have a favorite tennis game? Not really. I'm actually intentionally avoiding playing tennis games, because I don't want to get any kind of influence or anything like that. I want to have a completely fresh approach to it. So I'm watching, I watch some videos on YouTube, especially to try to understand the graphical level. Although we are going for something very different from the kind of games that are available right now. So we're not going for trying to be realistic and fail kind of approach. We're not going to have like Alcaraz and you know, Wimbledon and those kind of stuff. It's going to be a tennis more about, it's more about kind of junior college tennis, you know, with, well, you know, it's going to be like a single player game. It's going to be heavily based on the idea of training. So you will have to improve your characters by training. But these are all, for now, they're all ideas. Right now, I'm concentrating on the core of the game. And obviously, the kind of look that we're going for is nothing realistic, nothing. We're not going for that at all. Right? So it's not going to be Mario Tennis. It's not going to be. For now, I don't think we're going to have like magic shots or stuff like that. But you never know. You never know. You never know. I'm not approaching this the same way I approach all my games in my career before. So I'm not approaching it in a like, this is going to be an hardcore simulator. Obviously, it's still a game that, from me, so it's still gonna have that kind of simulation approach. So you know, you can already see the way the ball is moving and so on. It's physically correct. It's physically based. It's got spin. It's got drag. It's got all this kind of stuff. So, but I would like to be like a nice game that people that know tennis will be kind of surprised, like, oh, actually, this is actually also a tennis game. I'm struggled to get the cam and assist to the right scale, like houses being too big or small for the player. I struggle getting the cam and assist. I don't understand what you're saying, Nalot. So yeah, so we will see what comes out. So talking about animation, what we have this new animation, which is very cool, which is basically she's just there waiting for the serve, right? So that's what we're trying to add. We're trying to add this kind of behavior, this kind of animation, and it's going to be interesting because we need to, you know, get some data through, which in Rust is always an interesting experience. This is the typical example that, you know, if we were in something like Godot or Jai, it will be really easy to get to the information that we need. In Rust is going to be a little bit more plumbing to get there. Good morning, buongiorno. Kunos, ti seguo dai tempi di Indie Vault. Addirittura. Ciao Krista. Get resize. I'm looking for, compared to the, you mean you're working on a game, Nalot, and you cannot get the scale right? Lucignolo, ciao. You're right. I'm so sorry, mate. You're totally right. I should take the Godot out because I'm not using Godot. You're totally right. Let me take Godot out, right? And let me add Rust. You're totally right. I was like, oh, I really don't understand what you're saying. Done. So hopefully the Godot tag is gone. Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah. The nice thing about the engines, one thing that I really enjoy about working with an engine is the fact that with something like Godot is that it's very easy to understand what you really need in the game. Like we could see, for example, the effects of global illumination and having lights, on the court, ambient occlusion, and so on. And so it was really easy to understand. Like, okay, this is something that I can live without. This is something that I really need to implement, and so on. With the custom engine, you want to do something like a global illumination system. That's like months of work. And imagine if you after months of work you realize that, oh, actually, I don't really need it. So that's one nice advantage of something like Godot. One thing that I liked in the Godot version, and I have to figure out the way how to do it, was how easy it was to add the reverb to the sound. So basically, into this indoor court, I put like a lot of reverb, and it was the shots sounded brutal, sounded really, really powerful. Mi è dispiaciuto che ma mi stai dando del lei, Lucignolo? Mi stai dando del lei? Tranquillo, cioè, con me o senza di me non penso che ci sarebbero state differenze. Cioè, alla fine il progetto è tosto. Tocca martellare. Quindi, però il potenziale è enorme. Il potenziale è assolutamente enorme. Però il progetto è difficilissimo. È un progetto bassissimo, con un team molto più grande di quello di cui siamo abituati. Sorry guys, there was a question in Italian. All right, okay, so yeah, sorry about that. There was a question in Italian. Okay, so we want to do this. Waiting for the serve return. So let's start for sure by preparing the animation. So player animation. So we're gonna need a couple of stuff for this, right? So it's gonna be idle wait return, and it's gonna have an animation. And we're going to need for sure a time to know where we are in the animation. And I think we're going to need some kind of knowing how much we're blending these animations. Right now, I'm still writing a lot of very manual code for the animation because I need to understand the similarities and then try to see if I can put it into something like an animation player that expose all the things in something that makes sense and make the gameplay code easier. But I still don't really know. Can't you do this in YouTube? Twitch just sucks. I am on YouTube actually, so you can go on YouTube, and I'm streaming on both YouTube and Twitch, so you can also go there. But you know what? Now that I didn't change the title on YouTube. Stream settings. All right, edit. So this is not. Should I move to Godot? I wonder if I can change it. So this is what now? Rust. So live coding, Rust, tennis game. hopefully, it's something that, yeah, change set. Obviously, hopefully, you know, it's visible on YouTube, the change. I forgot to do it before that. Right. Then we have this idle wait return. Idle wait return. And let's create it. Right, so let idle wait return equals idle wait. Probably we're gonna need a couple of stuff because we need to grab the animation. This code, I have it so many times that I think it's time to. I think it's time. The time has come to do this. Right. Find animation. Animations, which is animation data, right? And name, and we return animation, a reference to an animation, right? And we do this. Not really much smaller than this, but you know. Okay. So this becomes find animation, animation data, idle one. It doesn't really change that much. Animation data. Should be obvious that these belong together. All right. Yeah, it doesn't really change things that much. Slightly less vertical. So let's put, so one goes here, one goes here, one goes here, one goes here, and then we will change it, blah 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 blah. Okay, so so here's backhand. We are lacking a great tennis game. The best ever is one from the Super Nintendo in the 90s. You know, it's not the first time that I hear that. Zoltalk from YouTube. It's not the first time that somebody talks about this game on the Super Nintendo. I don't know it. I don't know it. Okay, lateral left. Okay, here we have to actually do let data equals that. Lateral left, bang. Okay, and the problem I think is that this is not mutable. So I think in this case I cannot really get the function unless I make it by default that is mutable. Let's give it a try. Same thing here. So this let data. This lateral right. Okay. Okay. So let's make it that we return it as mutable. Lifetime must proceed mutable. Lifetime must proceed mutable. Really? I'm not sure I can do this actually. It is either mute. I hope I can do this. You can search later Super Tennis NES. Let's have a look. Super Tennis NES. Oh, it looks like my kind of game. Yeah, I like this style a lot. I like this style a lot. I think the gameplay is probably kind of similar to what I'm doing. It looks to me like it's got the same system where the moment you press a button, the player stops moving, which is very similar to what I'm doing. So it's kind of old style tennis game. What tools are you using today? I'm back with Rust. So and I think this time is final. This time is final. So here we want to return an idle wait return, and what we need is going to be an animation, and the animation is going to be rc new find animation data idle wait return. I think. Let me double check 1 second. Animation new bones animation data and bones. All right, and time is 0 and blend is 0. Okay, let me double check that this is actually the name of the animation. Idle wait return. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. Just raw graphic programming. That's correct. So it's Rust with Vulkan, with a Vulkan engine based on the Ash. The binding for Vulkan in Rust, they're called Ash. So what are we doing here? Okay, so this is good. So we got this animation. Now, when we're gonna play the animation, so the moment we're playing the animation is really here, right? So let's just force it. Right, let's just force it. Let's just play it all the time. So let's go with animation player, apply a time, and we're going to apply self idle wait return animation, and with a weight of 1, bones, and time is going to be self idle wait return time, right? And then self idle wait return time equal self idle wait return time plus dt. And if I remember correctly, in Rust, the modulo is automatically working also for floating points, which is really nice. So this should work. So this should give us the animation in loop for both players, regardless of what they're doing. Here we go. Obviously, if they're going for a shot, you know. Okay, so we can see that, you know, we have the very cool animation. Right. Cool. All right. So now, let's see if we can have the animation for now. Let's try to do a velocity based thing. So if velocity length, so if we are stopped, right? So the return blend is, this is one of the reasons I really like Rust, the expression based things, where I can do this thing and it's like the result of the if. So our blend is like this, right? Okay, then what we can do, then we can say self idle wait return blend, and this we can converge. And the current is self idle wait return blend. Then the target is return blend, right? And then we want to do dt, and we want to have a like an half-second blend between in and out. So we have this blend here now, and we can stick it in here instead of 1, right? And obviously we can do that if idle wait return is more than 0, we do this. Otherwise we don't bother. All right, so this should allow me to get in and out from that. So if I'm not moving, I should get the animation. Yeah, if I move, I go back into the movement, idle, movement, idle, movement. All right, that works. Okay. The only problem is that now it does it regardless of if we are waiting for a serve or not, right? So that now the difficult part comes. The sailing simulator was interesting, but not my type, but looking forward to the tennis game. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, that was the problem with the sailing simulator. It wasn't many people type of thing. And so it is one of those very sad situations where the score for the game was really good. You know, the people that bought it actually enjoyed it. I wonder, Steam. I haven't checked the score for a while. Maybe now people are hating on me because I'm not updating it. But, you know, we are very positive. 86%. It went down. There was a moment where it was like 95+% when it came out. So I imagine that there are, obviously a little bit of negative review coming in because maybe people cannot find players, no update and so on. So sadly, yeah, this is what it is. Looks good. Still looks good. Cool game. Very cool game. It's a shame. It's a shame. All right. Okay, so now what we have to do. So what is the thing that is triggering us to so we need two informations. So we need the information if we are a shot 0. So we need a ball to know if we are a shot 0. And then we need to know if we are the player that is supposed to serve. So we will need a score. So how we're going to do that? Because I could, so right now I have something called a player state, right? But the player state is generated by the player. So this needs like a combination of 3 things. It needs fundamentally 2 things, right? It needs the index of the player, and then it needs the score, and it needs the ball. Right. So let's start with the ball. So let's say that apply go idle, and let's add the ball. So let's add a ball state provider. All right. And basically this is going to allow us to say that if the velocity is less than this and ball, what we need, shot counter is 0, then we go into this thing. Okay. And this should be easy to call here because I have the ball. So ball. So that's easy enough. But it's not solving our problem because now our player will go down waiting for the serve, okay? And then it stops and we go in normal idle. But the problem is that also the other player goes down before serving, right? So we need the other information. So we need the score, and we don't have it at all here. So the question is, should we send the score? Probably yes. I mean, there's no question, right? Score. Right? And this is going to be a little bit tricky for the replay. And then when we are here, we have the score. But we're not done yet because we don't know, because the score has a server index, right? So the score has, you know, the score has the server index. But we don't have our player index. So I think it might be easier, instead of doing this, it might be easier in apply idle to say is serving, right, as a boolean, right? And here we just go, so if the velocity is less than this and we're serving, is serving, right? We do this. Okay. Actually, we should do is serving first. Oops, if serving first. So we can save this calculation on the velocity. There's a square root here, so it's a nice save. Although probably the compiler is able to do this automatically in release mode. So we pre-calculate the thing. So instead of sending the ball, we need to pre-calculate if we're serving. I don't think we have the player index. So I could either put it in the player state, and I think it's a very reasonable thing to do. Index. Right. Easy. Right? And now is serving is let is serving is ball shot counter 0 and score server index equal player index. And I think we're good. Nope, is not player index. So, okay, so this is returning serve, right? And this is what we want to really pass in, is returning serve, is returning serve. And this should work. What we're missing? Update the score. Match sim score. Right? Okay. Very good. Are you back with Masaruto working? No. I was back for 6-7 months, I think. So I left again in November. So I'm just working on this now. Okay, so this should work. So in order to make it, to check it, let me get the AI to wait for a long time before serving. So we say that the server base time, we wait for a long time. So let's go like 5 seconds and then we wait like, yeah. So we wait 5 seconds. So we have all the time to look at the animation. Let's give control to the AI. So here we go. And it's very cool because basically she's then coming up with the split step. I'm not sure the animation, is it jumping or is it blending to the split step? Because basically that's what we expect, split step, okay. Looks like it's working really well. Because that's what we expect. So we are kind of waiting. And then we go into split step. And then she's ready to return. Waiting. Split step. And return. It's really cool. I really need I need some mode to slow down the time so I can really see these animations. The eye is so stupid there. There are situations where it's very slow in moving forward. That was a great return. Pretty cool. Very cool the animation for the thing. The look. Very cool, no? Look. The split step and goes to return. Very cool. All right, so this was much easier than I thought, actually. I thought it was going to be a little bit harder. Is this really the solution? Let me check that apply. Idle. So we're going through the blend to see the left and right. Then we apply. Maybe this could go into a separate method of the idle return itself, right? So this could have idle wait return. The only problem is that it's gonna need quite a bit of informations. Pretty much everything. We need all this. Right? We need all of it. See, this is the thing that as the project grows in Rust, this becomes really the thing. There are ways to, you can cheat. You can cheat and do a global if you really want. So this is all to do with that, right? Okay, so this becomes code becomes nicer because all this goes away. Right, it all becomes self-blend. Right? You mean I never read? I read right here. Right? And then where were we? In apply, right? This becomes self with return update, and we pass in everything. Bones, val is returning serve and DT. Right? So okay. So this should still work, and it's a little bit more clear. Yeah, still works. Okay, that's cool. So idle wait return animation. Add it. Cool. Look nice so far. Have you tried Tennis Elbow before? No, I only watched some videos. So like I was saying before that I'm actually not playing tennis games on purpose because I don't want to get influenced. I pretty much have my idea of how I want it to play. So yeah. Perhaps you could make tennis controls more interesting where you have to swing your mouse to swing the racket. That's very interesting. I tried actually to do something with the... I'm targeting mostly Steam Deck, so the controller is going to be the main way to play the game. I did some experiments with the, using the controller, the right thumbstick, where the idea is that you just move it and that becomes your swing, right? So if you move it slow, you hit slow. If you go really fast, you hit fast, which is very interesting because you can really like control the power like that, and it feels very visceral. The problem is still, you still have a problem of aiming, right? Where you aim, which is a little bit problematic if you use that kind of system. You might do the same thing that we're doing right now. So you while you're charging the shot, with the thing down, and you go into preparation, then you start to control the shot direction. It felt good. And I imagine it could also work really well with a mouse. So you kind of swipe, to get. And in theory, you could also get some kind of directional left-right, right? So if I want to go cross-court left, I swipe my mouse this way. And if I want to go the other way, so, and then you still need, the problem is that, so it's cool because now you have the directional. And at that point, you just have to control the depth. I did a quick test and it was really interesting. So I'm not discarding the idea, but obviously, I would like to have one way to play. I thought it was Injai. Yeah. I went through a couple of weeks. I basically redid the game three times. so I redid the game 2 times. So I did it 3 times in total. So I did it in Jai. So here's the Jai version. Here it is. So here's the Jai version. And let's see if it still works. Yeah, still works. So this is the Jai version. Compared to now, we have the grunts for the girls. Yeah, it still works. And then I have the Godot version. Does it still work? I have the Godot version. There is the prettiest one, easily, because the court has global illumination and stuff. Looks prettier, and it's got the reverb. The reverb is really cool. Look, listen to the reverb. Reverb is pretty cool. In Godot, I don't have AI against AI, but listen to the reverb. Also in Godot, I did this thing that I kind of like, where basically the feedback for how good is your shot is this very, kind of combat game number that appears. So 84, 84, 88. I really love the reverb. I need to find a way to either add reverb or, I mean, obviously I could bake the reverb into the wave file. So I could have like one wave file with reverb and one wave file without reverb, right? And depending on which court I'm loading, if it is indoor or outdoor, I choose which one I go. But obviously, yeah, there is the illumination is much better. You have so we have a couple of lights that give us shadows here. So this is definitely something I have to do. So right now in Rust, I have the lights, but they don't make shadows. Right? There is a little bit of ambient illumination, ambient occlusion going on here, going on there. There is ambient occlusion. There is a post-process ACS, what is called tone mapping going on. So we're getting this kind of contrast between the lights and the low lights. And there is a little bit of ambient lighting, bouncing going on. Give us a better view of what's going on. And also the UI was much simpler to do something like this. We're gonna get there. So this is pretty much our target. And there is something else that my wife really wants in the game, and it's she wants the kind of permanent glow bloom effect, which is very anime kind of style. Obviously we will have to tone it down to the point that doesn't interfere with the gameplay. I could use Fmod. Yeah, I don't know. Right now I'm using OpenAL because obviously it's quite easy to interface. Fmod, I have to check. I don't know if there is a Rust crate for Fmod. Yeah, there is. I don't know. I don't know how good it is. 11 years old. 5 years old. I wonder what Bevy is using. What is Bevy using for audio? Is it OpenAL? Bevy audio. Is it completely... Ciao, Furious Me, how you doing? Next stream remaking in Unreal. No, I think there are 0 chances. Unreal is really like 0. Not, I mean, if it's just not a good match for this game. I would say the sequence of good matches for this game is Godot, Unity, and then Unreal. The complexity and heaviness of Unreal is not justified for this game. I don't need that kind of graphics. Internals, all right. So what are you using internally? What are they using? I don't know what is this rodeo. Is it completely audio output? Audio source. Audio source. It looks like it's completely from scratch library. But I don't think they have something like real-time reverb. And it depends from a lot of baby stuff, so I don't think it's that easy to lift it out from baby. No, I don't. No, I don't use AI. I enjoy programming too much to leave the fun part to the AI. I know it's crazy to say that I enjoy programming, but that's what I enjoy. The to-do status. Actually, I didn't even update it for this stream. We're almost done. Actually, I think I don't think I'm gonna do anything else. I'm pretty tired. It's 7 o'clock here in Australia. There is an F-bond binding crate. Yeah, I was looking at this. I don't know if it is this one. This is quite old. I don't know how often it gets updated. Is this another one? Where is the... Why they change this thing all the time? Where is the... The problem is that I will have to learn to use Fmod Studio. And I'm not sure what's the license, because we used it for Assetto Corsa, but I remember it was quite expensive. Fmod Studio. $3,000 or $2,000 per title. For budget under 600K, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're good. So, okay, so we could use this. AI can be used for small tasks. I think AI, yeah, I think it's useful if you're doing a kind of programming that you hate, right? So probably if you're doing, I don't know, web programming, maybe I understand that you use AI, right? But the entire point of making games is that it's cool. And in my case, you know, making games and making engine is like, I do it because I enjoy doing it. And, you know, I enjoy looking at what I did and think that I did it. It's not crazy. It's the way to control you get what you want. AI can be useful to... I don't think I am a control freak. I'm more like it's really an ego thing. You know, I was trying to explain to my wife when I was looking at the game in Godot, and I was like, I launch it and I say, oh my God, this is really pretty, but I don't feel proud, right? Because I didn't do it, right? It's not pretty because I did it. It's pretty because the guys in Godot did a good job, right? So I was launching my at the time, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I was launching the game in Jai, and it was like, even if it didn't look as good, I was like, I did this. Machine learning is tractor. You are still using Pitchfork and you will be left behind. Yeah, I understand. I totally, I think it's very difficult. I'm really glad that I'm not 20 years old. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. You know, I wish I was 20 years old, but I understand that is a more difficult, is a difficult world, right? Because if you're young and you're trying to decide, you know, you cannot ignore it. It's not something you can ignore because, you know, you have to understand how it works. So from that point of view, you know, my position is that I'm an exception. You see what I mean? I'm not an exception, but I'm not at the beginning of my career. So I'm in a stage where I already kind of know how to do these things, so I don't have to deal with it, right? And but I understand that if you're younger, it's a much more difficult thing to ignore, and you shouldn't ignore it. I think you shouldn't. That's true. That's true. At a certain point, you know, it's like, okay, where you draw the line. You know, Doku is saying, okay, you can extrapolate to the point where you want to write your own operating system. Yeah, it's a completely arbitrary idea, and I think it comes down to what you're used to, right? And obviously, I come from a time where making a game also meant making an engine for that game, right? So obviously that's where the line is for me. It's like, you know, it's like the graphics API is as low as I go. I will not write my own Vulkan, right? I will not write a driver for a graphic card, right? But it's a completely arbitrary line, and at the end of the day, it's like you know what makes you proud of your work, right? And obviously, you know, it's a decision that adds many months to the project, right? I did my calculation, like the time I'm going to waste just writing engine stuff that I don't have to do this in Rust is probably going to cost me 4 to 6 months over, you know. So for something that was supposed to be like a couple of years work, it could easily end up being 2 years and a half, right? So it has a cost, so it's not for free. So you're looking for audio. Are you in need for music or sound effect? Not at this stage. Not at this stage. Eventually, I would like to have some music, but you know, as with many things, you know, I think audio people are even more in trouble than programmers when it comes to artificial intelligence, because, you know, it's quite easy now to, not only artificial intelligence, but you can get music quite cheaply for, you know, online. So yeah, it's not, you know, but for this game, I would like some music. I would like some Japanese J-pop kind of music stuff, but we'll see. We will see. We will see what time comes. It's not the time. I would like to undo the AI progress, as for me it takes away the joy of programming. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is like, you know, you can treat this job in two ways. You can treat this job as a passion first, and then, you know, it's something you would do regardless of if people pay you or not. That's obviously the way I do it, right? It's how I learn. You know, at my time, you know, at a certain point, you know, I was actually surprised, you know, when I discover, you know, hey, you know, actually there are people that, you know, would pay me to do this thing. That was crazy all the time. Or you can treat it as a job. You can treat it just as a job, and at that point it becomes, you have to do what you have to do. Yeah, right. It's not a good place to be. It's in, you know, it's I still have this idea that when it comes to stuff that, you know, music, art in general, at the end of the day, the value should be, right, in the amount of work that goes into create something. And if you can create a song with a prompt in, I don't know how long it takes, 30 seconds or something like that, the value is 30 seconds, right? It doesn't have a value. So I don't know. I don't know. Music made it, you know, they were able to survive Napster and Spotify and so on, and there are still new artists coming out. Yesterday I discovered this young kid, Young Blood, what is it called? Young Blood? Absolutely amazing, like old style. I mean, he's young, he's probably 20 something, but he's got this kind of 80s rock star vibe, you know, and it's crazy that somebody like that can still show up. I dug a bit deeper. On a retro platform, I wrote on my own software shader rasterizer. I calculate everything by myself, not using any library or GPU. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. As I said, you know, everybody put the line where they want. There are people that are absolutely, and I totally respect that. There are people that do amazing stuff with Unity, or even, what is Macmillan using for Mugenics? What is it? Is he using some game maker? I don't know. What is he using? He was using some kind of Flash. It's a custom engine, right? Can you share a video link? Yeah, go for it. I don't know if Twitch has some kind of auto moderation that is gonna stop it. Yeah, Furious Me. Yeah. So you understand. I went through this from Jai to Godot, from Godot to Rust, and now I landed in Rust, and I think this is it. You know, Rust Rust works for me. My last game was in Rust, so I'm gonna stick with Rust. They wrote a Flash engine from scratch. Yeah, because I kind of remember that that's what he likes, right? He's a Flash guy. So at the end, the people working for him, they write some kind of Flash interpreter. But obviously he doesn't give a shit, right? He doesn't really care about the engine part of it, and is still able to create amazing stuff. And so it's really an arbitrary line. Like, you know, Jonathan Blow goes and does his programming language, right? Here's your engine. I'm gonna put it in here so people can see. So you're deep into demo stuff. Very cool. Really cool. Last time I watched you develop sailing game, it was in Rust. I was in Rust and I have 4 years of professional experience with it. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I had after the sailing game, I kind of fell out of love with Rust. I think it's just, you know, it could be just a reaction to the fact that the game, you know, sadly didn't sell well or things like that. But at the end, you know, I remember a couple of streams ago, and I was talking about the feeling that I got the moment that I pressed the button to publish the sailing game on Steam. I never felt that confident, right? I never felt like this thing is a tank. This thing is never gonna crash, right? It was really, it's really a great feeling, right? And I get it even now that, you know, the code that I have right now is not that big compared to the sailing game. But there is a difference when I launch my Rust version of the game and the Jai version of the game. The Jai is, I feel like it's all shaky. It's all like, it's, oh, is there a memory leak that I don't know about? Is that, you know, a data race that I don't know about? You know, obviously there are things in Jai that are cool. There is a system that is detecting memory leaks and stuff like that. But yeah, I felt really good when I released the sailing game with Rust. So, you pay a price, you know, during the development. It's a little bit. It can be a little bit a pain in the ass, especially at the beginning. The more you work with it, the better it is. Don't know the details, but you can check Vuka's podcast episode. They talk about that in detail. We're talking about eugenics. Yeah. Time is it? It's 7 o'clock. I think should I try to do I wanted to do a proof of concept for a screen to select the game mode, but I'm pretty tired. It's 7 o'clock here. I started really early, so I think I'm done. Some people say they fight it, but I see as it really helps me. Yeah, I think that's my experience. Yes, you fight it, but it's a good fight, right? It's a fight that what you get in return is something that, yeah, I know that I can open the source code for my sailing game. I haven't touched it for like years. I know that I can open it, and I know that you know, the structure will be evident from the way it's coded. You know, that's the thing in Rust. You can code so much knowledge about how the system works into the type system. And it's very difficult to go there and write something stupid that breaks the game. So I know that I can go in there and make a modification, and if it compiles, it means it's going to be okay. Most likely it's going to be okay. Obviously, is not saving you from doing logical bugs, right? And this is something obviously that you also have to take advantage in your own engine. Like, for example, here, a very, very simple example is like, here I'm passing this array of bones, right? If I do something stupid, so if I create an animation that is supposed to target a certain bone structure, and then I call this thing to apply the animation to a bone structure that is different, on purpose, right? I'm not coding against that, right? Because that's a mistake, and I don't want to waste cycle to check for that. That's the advantage of a custom engine, right? The custom engine doesn't have to spend a long time to defend from stupid mistakes, right? Because it's fine, it's going to crash during development, and you're going to say, here's what it is. While, if you're working on something like Godot, Unity, you really don't want to crash, right? So I imagine the code is full of checks all over the place to make sure that the user is not doing something stupid. Oh, Togglebit, how are you doing? Actually, I was about to close. Thanks a lot for the raid. We're back in Rustland here. I've been cheating for a while. I've been cheating with Jai. I've been cheating with Godot for a couple of days. But I'm back. I'm back in Rust. Yeah, it's been a while. It took me a little bit of time to understand what I was gonna do. So now I started this tennis game. Yeah, Godot is fun. But there is the dopamine hit that I get if I do the engine that I need to have that. So Godot is out. What happened with Hydrofolia? It released to very good reviews, very solid release, but sadly it didn't sell enough to continue working on it. Right? It just didn't reach the mass that we needed to justify keep working on it. So sadly, I had to move on. Yeah, it looked. I'm really happy. Sometimes I just show the tennis game, to the new viewers. So this is what we're doing right now. Hello. There you go. So we're working on this new tennis game. I'll let the AI play while I bubble. It's super early days. So considering all the technology changes, I would say, I started, probably there are a couple of weeks of work into this. Obviously the engine that is running it in Rust is kind of an evolution of what was running Hydrofall Generation. Although not really, because I moved to Vulkan, so Hydrofall Generation was DirectX 11. So I basically borrowed some part of Hydrofall Generation engine. I wrote an engine, I wrote a renderer with Vulkan. And that's, if you think about it, it's like years of work, right, behind the engine itself. But the game, the actual game, is a couple of weeks of work. So the idea is to have a tennis game, and not to have like the tennis game with Alcaraz against Sinner at Wimbledon, right? I'm not going for that. So right now we have this kind of anime style girls. The idea is to have more this kind of college junior club tennis circuit, where you're not a pro yet. You're on your way to become a pro, and the idea is to have something that is like it's almost like obviously it's an action game, so it's still skill based to the point that you need to hit the ball. You hit the ball with the right timing and so on. So there is a level of ability in the game, but it will also have some kind of RPG style thing where you will have to build your character, You have to build your character through training. So between tournaments, you will have to choose what you want to work on. And so the idea is that, you know, you decide what you want to concentrate on that particular week, right? And you will have to go through the training. And if the training is successful and you do it properly, then the abilities of your character will improve. So you can choose, like, okay, I want to work on my forehand power or my forehand spin, you know, and my rally ball and so on. And you go there and you hit ball in the right way. And then at the end, you get the reward of your progression for your character. And so next time that you go to a tournament, you can take advantage of the fact that now your shots are better. But obviously, your opponents are also going to get better. So we will start this kind of speed that we're seeing right now is going to be like kind of medium high level in the game. The idea is probably when the player will start playing, probably everything will be slower, like a little bit more beginner like. So you have more time to hit, you know, to time the ball, to understand where the ball is going and so on. And you will grow with your player. So those are the ideas behind the game right now. And we will see how it progresses. For now, it's progressing really well. It's already pretty fun to play, even though it's got a limited amount of shots and so on. So I find myself, you know, playing it on a Steam Deck for longer than I would expect. So thanks. I was watching you, you know, and I was like, I should do this again. I was watching you, you know, a couple of days ago. I saw that you're also doing some gaming stuff. So yeah, so this is the idea. This is the idea behind the game. Right now we're working on the animation system. There is a lot of going on here. Our moving animation is still very shaky. And the thing that we work on today, live on stream, was this animation of waiting for the serve. So yeah, this animation of, you know, that she's there waiting, and then you will see that she will do like a little jump. Yeah, that's something that in tennis is called the split step. It's a thing. If you play tennis, you know this is a thing, right? And it's basically a little jump that you do. So the moment you are landing, so you have to time that jump so that the moment you land, you know where the ball is going. And that's going to give you, like, your next step is going to be very explosive because you're all loaded on your leg. And your next couple of steps are going to be very explosive. So the girls are doing this split step just before the opponent hits the ball. Yes, this little jump. But obviously the animation needs a lot of work. It's a new experience for me. I'm more into simulating vehicles, right? So either cars or sailboats. Although on the sailing game we had the crew moving around, but tennis movements is incredibly complex. You know, it's a really complex movement, like, you know, tennis, footwork. It's really, really difficult to even try to replicate all this motion. It's very complex. So you see the split step, boom. That was the split step. Boom. Boom. And it comes right before the opponent hits the ball. So very, 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 very hard to replicate. I imagine is going to be probably the most complex part of the entire game. That movement. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I think it's night here in Australia, 7:30. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Ciao, ciao, ciao.